According to Ukraine's military intelligence, a fire erupted at an electrical substation overnight on April 16th in Russia's Bryansk Oblast, leading to power cuts at military and industrial sites. Although Ukraine did not acknowledge responsibility or posted a video on Telegram depicting a facility ablaze at night. The blaze is purported to have damaged a 100-kilowatt transformer at the substation, leaving the military base, a machine-building enterprise, and a railway building equipment supplier without power, as per the agency. Her statement accused the enemy of utilizing these facilities in the war against Ukraine. The Kyiv Independent was unable to independently verify the assertions. There have been numerous accounts of fires and sabotage within Russia and occupied Ukrainian territories since the launch of the full-scale invasion. Earlier, Ukraine security services at the SBU reportedly targeted a Russian modernized Nebo-U long-range radar system in Bryansk Oblast, as per a source at the SBU. On the night of April 19th through 20th, Ukraine aircraft-type UAVs conducted an operation targeting Russian territory as part of a coordinated effort involving Ukraine's defense intelligence, the security services, and the special operations forces of the armed forces of Ukraine. According to information from sources within the DIU and SSU, multiple Ukrainian drones penetrated the territories of Belgorod, Bryansk, Kursk, Tula, Smolensk, Ryazan, Kaluga, and Moscow Oblasts. The objective was to disrupt the energy infrastructure supplying power to the Russian defense industry installations. Following the attacks, some areas experienced disruptions in electricity and water supply. Sources from Ukrainska Pravda report that at least 3 power substations and a fuel storage facility were targeted, resulting in fires. Satellite imagery depicting the Russian S-400 air defense system and the Zhankoy airfield has been made public. The images were released by the Schemes project, showcasing remnants of 4 S-400 launchers captured by Planet Labs satellites. Moreover, the open-source intelligence community identified a vehicle resembling a 92N6E radar from the S-400 system. Additionally, there are signs of a fire near an ammunition depot at the Russian-controlled airfield. Previously, on the night of April 17th, a military airfield near Zhankoy in Crimea, temporarily occupied by Russia, came under attack. Ukrainian Defense Intelligence reported significant losses for the Russians, including the S-400 launchers, 3 radars, an air defense command post, and Fundament M airspace surveillance equipment due to fire damage. Dosia Shpiona Telegram channel indicated 2 strikes, one on Zhankoy and another on a military equipment reception and repair center of the 77th Anti-Aircraft Missile Brigade in Koronovsk, Krasnodar Krai. During the attack, 2 S-300 launchers were under maintenance at the site, and there was a secondary explosion of unidentified ammunition. Preliminary reports suggest that 15 Russian servicemen were wounded and 22 are missing, while no information regarding helicopter damage is available. Although the method of the attack hasn't been officially disclosed, the War Home Telegram channel, known for sharing photos of Russian missile debris, released images of a missile fragment resembling a tail part of an ATACMS missile. Meanwhile, Ukrainian media citing their sources suggest that the strike was carried out using modernized Soviet-era weaponry. On the morning of April 19th, following reports from Russian sources regarding the crash of a Tupolev Tu-22 M3 Bachfire strategic bomber in Russia's Stavropol Krai, the Ukrainian Air Force commander asserted that the bomber was shot down while on a combat mission over Russian airspace. Air Force Commander Mykola Oleschuk stated that for the first time, Ukrainian anti-aircraft missile units, in collaboration with Defense Intelligence, successfully destroyed a strategic bomber equipped with Kh-22 cruise missiles utilized by Russian forces to target civilian areas in Ukraine. Oleschuk reported that during the attack, 2 such missiles were intercepted for the first time. During the early morning missile and drone assault launched by Russia against Ukraine, the Ukrainian airspace monitoring channels indicated that 3 Tu-22s launched missiles from the Black Sea west of Crimea's Sevastopol, targeting the Zatoka area in Odesa Oblast. The last of these 3 bombers crashed en route to its home base, Mozdok, North Ossetia, in Russia. Ukrainian Air Force spokesman Ilya Yevlash informed AFP that the downed Russian bomber had been involved in missile strikes on Dnipro and Kryvyi Rih during the morning assault, resulting in casualties including 2 children and numerous injuries. Forbes observed that if verified, this would mark the first loss of Russia's backfire bomber since the commencement of the full-scale invasion, and possibly the second or third loss in history. Ukraine previously targeted Tu-22M bases in Russia in 2023. According to Forbes, Ukraine may have employed either the U.S.-made Patriot missile system or its aging Soviet-era S-200 surface-to-air missiles with extended range to intercept the bomber. Ukraine's main Directorate of Intelligence updated, stating that the Tu-22 was struck approximately 300 kilometers away from Ukraine using the same means that previously targeted a Russian A-50 radar aircraft. The bomber sustained damage and crashed upon its return to a neighboring region near North Ossetia. Russia's defense ministry asserted that the Tu-22M3 crashed while returning to its base after completing its mission and was flying without ammunition. They claimed that no one was on board at the time of the crash, with the 3 pilots ejecting, with 2 hospitalized and 1 missing. Russia possessed approximately 60 Tu-22Ms as of 2018, according to military balance data, utilizing them alongside a similar number of Tu-95 strategic bombers for air-launched cruise missile attacks against Ukraine. The Guardian revealed that over half of the 900 million Great British pounds military aid fund allocated for Ukraine by the British Ministry of Defence remains unused due to bureaucratic delays in contracting. Critics argue that the International Fund for Ukraine, led by Britain and involving 9 nations, has been sluggish in delivering arms. Out of the total fund, including $500 million from the UK, only $404 million has been committed or spent in the past 2 years, according to this report. Defense ministers from donor countries have acknowledged that some contracted weapons may not reach Ukraine until spring 2025 due to delays caused by the extensive evaluation of numerous defense companies involved in contracts. Established in August 2022, the International Fund for Ukraine aims to support military training and armaments following Russia's full-scale invasion, functioning as a flexible, low-bureaucracy facility administered by the Ministry of Defense on behalf of an executive team consisting of the UK, Norway, the Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, and Lithuania. It sounds like they're going to have to take low bureaucracy out of that description of their organization. Contributions to the fund were made by Denmark, Iceland, Lithuania, the Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, Australia, and New Zealand. The fund has financed over 100 unmanned aerial systems, 80 engineering vehicles, and air defense radars. Additionally, the UK is exploring the possibility of providing Ukraine with a prototype of the Dragonfire laser weapon capable of intercepting drones and missiles, as previously reported by Ukrinform. The Netherlands is earmarking over $200 million for new endeavors aimed at swiftly supplying additional air defense equipment and artillery ammunition to Ukraine, as announced by the Dutch Ministry of Defense. During an online meeting of the NATO-Ukraine Council, the country's defense minister, Kassa Ollongren, stressed the urgency of providing Ukraine with air defense systems and artillery ammunition, noting the critical nature of the situation. The resources allocated by the Netherlands, already situated on the European continent, will be expedited for delivery to Ukraine. Specifically, the Netherlands is allocating $150 million to support the German Immediate Action on Air Defense Initiative, aimed at rapidly furnishing Ukraine with long-range air defense capabilities. Additionally, the Dutch Ministry of Defense is procuring short-range air defense systems for €60 million, capable of countering drone attacks. Furthermore, the Netherlands will contribute to Estonia's initiative to promptly supply artillery ammunition to Ukraine from its existing stocks, following a similar commitment to the Czech plan, which €250 million has been allocated. Previously, the Dutch government has pledged an additional $1 billion in military aid to Ukraine, with plans to provide a total of $3 billion in military assistance next year, and allocating $400 million to support the country's economy and repair critical infrastructure. In March 2024, it was reported that the Dutch government would acquire aviation weapons for F-16 fighter jets slated for transfer to Ukraine. Over $150 million has been allocated for the purchase of air-to-ground weapons for these jets, with contracts to be directly concluded with the manufacturers. Additionally, the Netherlands will procure reconnaissance drones for Ukraine valued at €200 million in consultations with partners with the Ukrainian Armed Forces. Furthermore, Ukraine is set to receive 14 rigid-hull inflatable boats, 5 militarized river patrol boats, and 3 CB-90 combat patrol boats from the Netherlands, according to details provided by the Dutch Defense Ministry. The Danish government has unveiled a new military aid package totaling 2.2 billion kroner, equivalent to 313 million USD for Ukraine, marking the 17th donation package from Denmark. As outlined by the Danish Ministry of Defense, approximately 28.5 million is earmarked for investments in Ukraine's defense industry. These funds will be utilized to procure and donate military equipment, ammunition, and drones to Ukraine. Furthermore, the package entails collaboration with the Netherlands and the Czech Republic for the production of missile components, alongside a significant contribution to bolstering Ukraine's naval capabilities. Agreements have been established with allied nations for the acquisition and donation of equipment from their defense industries, with some items sourced from Danish companies as well. According to the Danish Ministry of Defense, the cumulative military support for Ukraine from 2022 to 2028, including the donation package recently, totals approximately 41.4 billion kroner, which is equivalent to 3 billion USD. This support financed through the National Compromise and the Ukraine Fund, with around 2 billion USD remaining for the funds reserved for the period spanning from 2024 to 2028. Ukraine's Ministry of Strategic Industries reported that the allocated funds will not only furnish weapons to bolster Ukraine's defense against the Russian invasion, but also to help Ukraine's cash-strapped arms industry, which is exceeding the production quotas for the first time. In other words, they have excess production that if other countries invest in it, then they can produce more equipment. Minister of Ukraine Commission highlighted that while Ukraine's defense industry capacity stands at approximately 20 billion, the country has only 6 billion available for arms procurement. He noted that roughly one-third of all the machine tools in the country are currently operational due to insufficient funding to fulfill orders for remaining equipment. Denmark's contribution represents the inaugural donation to the Manufacturing Freedom Project, also known as Arms Producers in Ukrainian, Zaporizhzhia. This initiative is part of a global fundraising campaign aimed at generating 10 billion for Ukrainian weapons production by the end of the current year. The Slovak fundraising campaign, Ammunition for Ukraine, was established in response to the refusal of the FICO government to participate in a Czech procurement initiative, which entailed acquiring hundreds of thousands of artillery rounds for Ukraine from sources outside the EU. In a video launching the campaign, one of the organizers, a 99-year-old journalist Otto Simko, emphasized the necessity of driving the Russians out of Ukraine to achieve peace that aligns with Ukrainian independence. He claimed that when he learned about the Czech government initiative, he was pleased to see every effort being made to assist Ukraine, as there's no alternative. Campaigners aim to demonstrate the majority of Slovaks disagree with the shift in the government's foreign policy following the September elections. Within 40 days of its inception, Ammunition for Ukraine has amassed 1.94 million euros in donations, with over 30,000 contributions, with an average donation of 64 euros according to the campaign's website. The co-founder Zuzana Isakova announced that the fundraiser would remain ongoing, with proceeds directed towards the Czech ammunition drive, which is anticipated to commence deliveries to Ukraine in June. Previously, Czech Prime Minister Petr Fiala expressed confidence that the ammunition initiative could supply around 1.5 million artillery rounds to Ukraine within the year. The International Monetary Fund projects that despite the ongoing full-scale invasion, Ukraine's GDP will see growth of 3.2% in 2024 and potentially as high as 6.5% in 2025. A year ago, the IMF initially anticipated a 3% decline in Ukraine's GDP for 2023, but later revised the forecast to a 2% growth by year's end. The IMF's 2024 World Economic Outlook report also outlines expectations for changes in Ukraine's consumer prices, forecasting increases of 6.4% in 2024 and 7.6% in 2025. Unemployment in Ukraine is anticipated to see a slight decrease between the years 2024 and 2025. The invasion of Russia has dealt a severe blow to Ukraine's economy, resulting in a staggering 29.1% decline in GDP in 2022. However, due to successful government initiatives and international assistance, the economy has stabilized more rapidly than anticipated this year. Earlier this year, Ukraine's finance minister, Serhiy Marchenko, stated that the country would require $3 billion in additional financial aid each month to maintain the heightened economic pressures wrought by the war. On Tuesday, April 16th, President Volodymyr Zelensky endorsed legislation aimed at addressing various aspects of mobilization, military registration, and military service. According to the Verkhovna Rada's website, the president's signature has been affixed to the bill. Initially on April 16th, the bill has been signed by the head of parliament. The signed legislation will be published in the official parliamentary publication and will take effect 1 month after this publication. The law includes several amendments, including reducing the draft age from 27 to 25 years old and eliminating the classification of limited fitness for military service. Additionally, citizens permanently residing abroad must be registered in Ukraine's military records, with the specifics of this process to be determined by the Cabinet of Ministers. Moreover, civilian men aged 25 to 55 who have become disabled, excluding servicemen, must undergo another medical and social assessment to confirm the status. Individuals sentenced to probation may be called up for military service, except there are those convicted of crimes against Ukraine's national security. Women will not be subjected to mobilization, and instead, citizens aged 18 to 25 will undergo basic military training in lieu of conscription. Furthermore, men under the age of 60 who have not completed basic training or military service will be ineligible for civilian employment. Protests in Poland persist as demonstrators block traffic at 4 checkpoints along the Polish-Ukrainian border. According to the State Customs Service of Ukraine, as reported by European Pravda on the afternoon of April 19th, lorry traffic is halted at both entry and exit points at the Medyka-Shahini checkpoint. However, the flow of buses and cars remains unaffected. At the Koryzhowa-Krakowicz checkpoint, lorry traffic is reportedly halted until 9 a.m. on Saturday. The protesters are demanding restricted entry into Ukraine, allowing only 5 to 7 vehicles per hour, regardless of cargo type. Similar blockades are observed at Yahodin Dorusk, Rava-Ruska Hrabine checkpoints, where truck traffic is being impeded. Meanwhile, at the Ustulu Zozin, Dolhobizha Uriniv, Budimirs Frusiv, Kroshenko, Smilnitsia checkpoints are reported as operating normally. In recent developments, farmers lifted the blockade at the Uriniv checkpoint on April 16th. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk on April 18th urged Polish farmers to cease border blockades, emphasizing Ukraine's dire situation. According to reports by Ukrinform, citing insights from Katerina Rashevska, an international lawyer and expert at the Regional Center for Human Rights, the Russians are funding numerous programs aimed at re-educating Ukrainian children from the temporary occupied territories. Rashevska highlighted a shift in Russia's approach. Instead of permanently relocating children to Russian territory, they now temporarily transport them to Russia or Belarus as part of so-called re-education programs. These short-term trips, lasting 2 to 3 weeks, include initiatives like Cultural Map 85+4, University Changes, and More Than a Journey. These are the names of all their programs. During these temporary relocations, children are subjected to Russian alternative history teachings. Rashevska emphasized that substantial financial resources allocated to these trips and the distribution of gifts. She condemned these actions as multiple violations of international humanitarian law, encompassing aspects of militarization, Russification, and political indoctrination of Ukrainian children. Rashevska noted that the programs exclusively target children from the occupied territories of Ukraine. The case of the deportation of Ukrainian children, according to Rashevska, falls under Article 8 of the Rome Statute, which delineates war crimes. Dmytro Lubinets, the Verkhovna Rada Commissioner for Human Rights, urged diplomatic representatives of partner countries to intensify pressure on Russia and support Ukraine within the international coalition for the return of Ukrainian children. Irina Suslova, representative of the Ombudsman for Children's Rights, emphasized ongoing efforts to hold the Russian military and political leadership accountable. Ukrainian human rights activist Olha Ivazovska stressed the need to expand the list of perpetrators, noting that numerous individuals are involved in the destruction of an entire generation of Ukrainian children, warranting broader international justice. Oleg Kiper, governor of Odesa Oblast, reported that on April 20th, Russian forces launched a missile attack on residential areas in Odessa, resulting in 8 casualties, including 2 children. Southern regions of Ukraine, including Odessa, frequently experience Russian attacks, causing significant damage to civilian infrastructure and resulting in civilian casualties. The missile attack on April 20th caused fires and destroyed multiple homes, with a woman and child rescued from one of the affected residences, as stated by Kipper on Telegram. According to Kipper, 2 individuals sustained minor injuries, while a child requires hospitalization. Subsequently, the account updated the casualty count to 8, including a 4-year-old child and an 80-year-old woman, based on clarified information. A day earlier, a Russian missile strike targeted Odesa, injuring a civilian and causing damage to the city's port infrastructure. Utilization reported a deliberate, extensive assault by Russian forces on civilian infrastructure facilities in the city of Dnipro and Bryansk Oblast. The company stated that some of their railway personnel sustained injuries during the attack, but further clarification is still being provided. Petro Tochnyi, the acting chairman of Energoatom, the national nuclear energy generating company of Ukraine, highlighted concerns regarding incomplete repairs and inspections at the Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Power Plant due to lack of skilled personnel employed by Russian occupiers. Tochnyi explained to Radio NV, as reported by Ukrinform, that the Russian authorities hire individuals regardless of their qualifications, posing a significant threat to the plant's equipment. He noted that these actions lead to frequent equipment failures and a deteriorating situation, with repairs and routine checks not being fully conducted as required. Tochnyi emphasized the importance of regular inspections for the nuclear plant's equipment to ensure its proper functioning. Additionally, with Power Unit 4 recently undergoing a transition to a cold shutdown, Energoatom, that name makes sense now, expressed concerns about potential serious defects that may have been identified during this process. It's worth noting that all 6 reactors of the Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Power Plant have transitioned to cold shutdown for the first time since late 2022, with Power Unit 4 completing the procedure on April 13, 2024. Since March 4, 2022, the Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Power Plant has been under Russian occupation, during which time the Russians have violated nuclear and radiation safety principles by laying mines within the plant's territory, obstructing qualified personnel from carrying out their duties, and disconnecting the plant from Ukraine's energy system. I'll add here myself that they also store military equipment there and appear to actually launch strikes occasionally from these sites. So, despite the presence of an IAEA mission at the plant since September 2022, the Russians hinder IAEA experts from accessing the entire territory of the plant. On Saturday, the U.S. House passed a long-pending aid package for Ukraine. Despite strong conservative opposition, the lower chamber approved the measure with a vote of 311 to 112, with 1 member voting present. The Biden administration has emphasized the critical need for this assistance, warning that without it, Ukraine could face significant challenges in defending itself against Russia by the end of the year. The bill allocates $60.8 billion for Ukraine, with over $23 billion earmarked for replenishing weapons and supplies provided by the U.S. Additionally, it includes $13.8 billion for advanced weapon systems and $10 billion in repayable economic aid. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer brokered a deal on Saturday to bring the House-passed foreign aid package to the Senate for an initial vote on Tuesday. Following this development, the Senate adjourned until Tuesday morning. And that'll do it for the news this week. Thanks for tuning in to Tochnyi. We'll see everyone next time.